Hi, welcome to the BoshNRoll channel. I'm your host, Brian Koval. Before we get started, make sure to hit those like and subscribe buttons. If you want to see me play your favorite deck or your spicy brew on the channel, I take donation deck lists. I'll do a deck tech, play a full Magic Online League, and help tune your list. If that sounds good, check out my contact info. It's in the video description below. Now let's go play some Magic. Hello and welcome back to the BoshNRoll channel. Today, I'm playing Legacy Death Shadow, and this is a list submitted by subscriber Troy. Before we get this started, I just want to warn everyone that my neighbors who live behind the room where I record are doing some significant construction. I'm hoping my audio filters filter out the sound of the forklifts and heavy machinery operating behind me, but if you hear some stuff, I'm sorry. That said, let's talk about this deck. So, if you play Modern at all in the last 6 or 7 years, even Legacy in the last 4 or 5, you're probably aware of Death Shadow as a card. This is a 13/13 for 1 black, but it gets -X where X is your life total. So you need to be at 12 or less life for this thing to not die on arrival. So when you're at 12, it's a 1/1. When you're at 11, it's a 2/2, etc. So the deck has a lot of ways to reduce its own life total. Notably, we're playing 3 Watery Graves over the traditional dual lands that don't cost life. There's a couple Underground Seas for when your life total is low enough to function or you need to play a slower game. But in general, shock lands don't get played in Legacy, but the pay-2 life is an upside in this deck. Other cards, Thoughtseize, that deals damage to you, so fetch land for Watery Grave, cast Thoughtseize, you're already at 15 on turn 1. You cycle a Street Wraith, you're at 13. So it's very easy to cast a turn 2 Death Shadow for it to be alive. You can get your life total down pretty low pretty quickly. Snuff Out is a removal spell that you can pay for life rather than pay its casting cost. That's another way to reduce your life total. And of course, the natural damage you'll take over the course of a game. So that's the Death Shadow, powerful 1/1. Backed up by Gurmag Angler, which is a 1-mana 5/5. You just need to wait a little while to get your graveyard filled with Delve. So basically what this deck is trying to do is trade off early 1-for-1 spells, like take your stuff, daze your thing, cast a cantrip, draw something in the lock, and then bam, a couple of giant black creatures once the coast is clear. Some significant departures in this list that I actually had to message Troy to make sure it wasn't a mistake. There's no Delver of Secrets in this deck. Normally, Death Shadow decks play Delver. They use Delver as an early turn 1 threat because even though it costs 1, Death Shadow is not a turn 1 threat. Delver, you can play on turn 1, make your opponent react to it. That puts them under pressure and challenges their removal spells, challenges their early game, and then you can mop up with the Death Shadow and the Gurmag Angler later. Troy is not doing that. Troy has Stifles in the deck instead of Delvers, which is a pretty interesting take. It's a totally different direction to go. It puts a different kind of pressure on the early game. And another really cool thing Troy has done here is in the Stifle deck, the fetch lands are Bloodstained Mire and Flooded Strand. So these are both swamps and islands. So Bloodstained Mire can get any of these swamps, Flooded Strand can get any of these islands, but the fetch lands that you play around Stifle, if you see, are usually Misty Rainforest, Scalding Tarn, Wooded Foothills. So he's done a good job selecting fetch lands to try to bait people into not playing around Stifle. So hopefully we'll get some good turn 1 Stifles in this game. And Stifle backed with Wasteland and Daze, even without Delver, this is a powerful mana denial package. And he's got the full 6 forces here to protect the creatures that stick. I think that without Delver, we're going to end up leaning pretty hard on Reanimate. Thoughtseize your Tarmogoyf Reanimate it is probably going to be a pretty common line we take in this league. At least I can see that happening. Or Reanimate an early Street Wraith. So I'm excited to try this out. The Delver-free version, Stifles instead. The sideboard is full of pretty normal blue and black stuff. You got your Surgicals, Null Rods, more removal, Plague Engineer, of course. And Lilianas. Yep. Pretty normal blue-black sideboard stuff. The big thing holding Death Shadow down in Legacy is Swords to Plowshares. because Death Shadow, by design, if it gets Swords to Plowshares, your life total will become 13. So, like, if you're at 11 and it's a 2-2, you get plowed, you're at 13, which automatically kills all your other Death Shadows. So if you ever have 2 in play and one of them gets Swords to Plowshare, you lose everything. So, pretty serious risk against white decks, but I think it's a pretty safe bet that in the Magic Online leagues, you're not going to play against a whole lot of white decks. Leagues tend to skew towards combo and Delver, so let's hope that this meta read is right, and let's build a big shadow. Crunch in there. Okay, we're on the draw here in round 1, and I've got some interaction and a shadow and some ways to reduce my life total pretty quickly, so this looks like a keepable hand. I would like it better if it had Thoughtseize. What are you going to do? My opponent has chosen Pillarfield Ox as their avatar. I was about to guess they're a creature deck, but just based on that, which is obviously nonsense. Alright, this is going to be a really good time to have Snuff out. It's a really bad time to have a deck with no basic lands in it, though, against Shadow. Or against goblins with their wastelands. Let's dig deep. Well, good thing is that goblins tends to struggle with large creatures, and I'm going to have a big one right away. Strong start. Just kill your creature, make a 4/4 on turn 1. That's the power of Death Shadow, and this is not a Swords to Plowshares deck. So these 2 wastelands will find targets. The cavern's already in play. And if I can keep them off balance long enough to make them dead, that is what I'm trying to do here. That'll buy them a lot of time. Alright, so I think I attack first. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, so I'm gonna attack first. I can't imagine they would do anything other than block with the War Marshal. Yeah, because, like, I was gonna wasteland them so they couldn't pay for that anyway. But this way, I don't know, if they want to attack, that's really bad for them. Just gonna try to keep them under wasteland. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, 1 short of the Gurmag. But now my Force of Will is on, though I think that being able to drown and lock them will be much better. So let's hope I don't get wasted here, and I can waste plus Gurmag next turn. Oh, JK. Blow blue for good measure. I don't think it matters. So their attacks grow my shadow. Yeah, attacking with 1 makes a little bit of sense, I guess, because they do need to reduce my life total to 0 eventually. Ooh, missed a land drop. That's gonna be bad. So I think I would rather put them to 0 lands and get Gurmag into play next turn. Because they are good at gumming up the board, but not if they can't do anything. So they clearly don't have a land or a 1-drop in their hand, or they would have cast one or the other. So let's just put them to 0 and play 5/5 versus 1/1 dual decks. And now it's easy to pitch this Drown in the Lock because I'm so far away from casting it anyway. Nice. So this represents 3 extra damage if I want it. See if they're ready to chump block yet. Yeah, might as well. I'm just going to get the Underground Sea. I feel like the only way I can lose this game at this point is by some kind of surprise burst damage. Like if they're able to string together a bunch of... like, I don't know how it would get into play at this point because they don't have Vial and they don't have lands, but like a Sling Gang commander just dealing 3 to me. Just want to make sure that doesn't happen. Yeah. Crushed. So as bad as Death Shadow is against Swords to Plowshares, it is extremely good against creature decks. Like your thing is just so much bigger than theirs. Lily onto the Last Hope. Don't mind if I do. Plague Engineer. This sideboard is hateful for Gobos. I don't think I want Triumph. I don't think Brazen Borrower is important. Force of Negation can go. Stifle is surprisingly good against Goblins because Goblins operate off of ETB triggers for the most part, like Goblin Matron, Muxus, Sling Gang Commander, Goblin Recruiter. Without their ETB triggers, they're just overcosted 1/1s and 2/2s. So Stifle plays pretty well here. Being on the draw against a Wasteland deck, I'm not really interested in having Daze in my deck. They're also a Cavern deck, so I'm going to try to play to the board and beat them that way. Fatal Push adds 2 more turn 1 answers in addition to the Snuff Out and Force Will to a Lackey. Like, getting Lackeyed is one of the ways I can lose this game. Or lose this matchup. I'm just gonna assess real quick if I'm interested in Brazen Borrower. Like, if there's anything I would like to cut for Borrower. Force of Will is really nice to have when they don't have Cavern, and it's really bad when they do. Though it can always get Aether Vial even through a Cavern. I could shave 1 Stifle for 1 Brazen Borrower, but that does... I feel like Stifle will play better in the matchup, because Brazen Borrower's body doesn't really exist. It's a 3/1 flyer. It can't block. If this was like Vendilion Click, I might bring it in as like a disruptive element that also trades in combat, but the fact it doesn't trade in combat, a Disperse is not what I'm looking for in the matchup. And they have so many creatures that go wide. An Edict isn't super important. Grafdigger's Cage can stop Muxus, but so does Stifle, and has other text in the matchup too. So I think I'm happy with where this is. Alright, so we've got only 1 land, but the Snuff Out is one of the more important cards to have in the matchup. So Aether Vial. That is one of the cards I will force. I'm actually going to pitch the Brainstorm because my whole hand is good. So I'm going to be looking for specific things, not trying to improve my hand overall. So Ponder is better than Brainstorm in this situation. So I'm going to Thought Seize them and or I could seize them, or I could Ponder, hit my land now. Yeah, I actually want to do that because if I Thought Seize them, I'm just screwed by a Wasteland. Knowing that the top of my deck was 3 lands, I wish I had Thought Seized, but like there's not a whole lot of turn 2 plays that Goblins can make that I care about, especially with Snuff Out in hand. The Lackey on turn 1, look, see, there's the Wasteland. Oh wow, they sequenced that wrong. If they Wasteland first, then I can't Snuff Out. Whoops. One, two, three, four. Okay, so I can Wasteland them and then on the following turn play Gurmag Angler. I still think that keeping them under their spells is better than Thought Seizing them. Like if they don't have mana, that's like Thought Seizing their whole hand. Yeah, and I can angle next turn, and I'm drawing another Wasteland. Wow, they just shipped it. Feels good, man. So I am gonna get Underground Sea. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't have a Death Shadow, and I do have ways to reduce my live total further in hand. So right now I just want to play safe with my life total. How'd we do? Goblins certainly can get out of this. Like, if they do have Land War Marshal, that'll absorb a lot of damage from this angler. But if I'm able to, like, Wasteland and Thoughtseize them next turn, that will do a lot to get through the War Marshal. They also could just, like, miss their land drop and die. I think the thing I'm most worried about is them just playing Goblin Lackey and passing the turn, because then I can't attack unless I find another creature or removal spell. This is going to be the moment of truth. Oh, are we going to keep living in this world, this wasteland world, where nobody has anything? Alright, so I hope they cast War Marshal here. Oh, they're playing around Stifle? That's heads up. Stifle's not a card that's always in Death Shadow. Alright, well, since you gave me the opportunity. So, Matron, Munitions Expert, Oath of Ghouls. What the hell is that? Beginning of each player's upkeep, that player chooses a player whose graveyard has fewer creatures in it than their graveyard does, and is their opponent. The first player may return a creature card from the graveyard. Okay. Reading that did not help me. The chooses target player whose graveyard has fewer creatures in it than their graveyard. Okay, so my graveyard has 0, and theirs has 1. So Oath of Ghouls is something they're interested in. So you get to raise dead if your opponent has more creatures in the graveyard than you do. Sure. I'm taking Goblin Matron. And I'll hang my Wasteland out there. I'll give them the opportunity to waste my waste instead of my Underground Sea. Like, if they need to protect a black source, that might be something they want to do. Also, if they tap this Wasteland for mana, I can waste it so they can't take me off black. And if they waste me, then that just takes them farther away from casting of any of these cards in their hand. So they need a black source. They need a land to play Pashikmons, and they need a black source to play anything else. And it looks like they missed, and they're just dying to Gurmag Angler. Beautiful. On the play for round 2, I am not keeping this 0-lander, even with a Street Wraith. No chance. It's the London Mulligan world. Don't keep bad 7s. There's no excuse. Alright, so I'm going to keep this, and I'm going to ship Drown in the Loch, because I think that is the slower card. Like, that's a card you want to find in the mid game. Alright, well, they're going to know exactly what I'm doing, but I'm going to know exactly what they're doing too. When you lead on Watery Grave, there's only one thing you could be. Alright, so Daze, Bolt, Forked Bolt, Delver. I'm taking Delver. Yeah, this looks like Rug Delver. I just gotta respect their burn. There's no Stifle in this hand currently. No threat. Delver with a threat versus Delver without a threat, very different decks. Very different level of respect you have to pay. Nice. I think that wasting them off of red will be more important than wasting them off of green. Because the burn is an axis of this matchup that's tough. We don't have Brainstorm on their turn. Like, if they did draw Stifle for turn, I want to make them spend their own mana to do it. Interesting. Alright, so I'm going to put back Underground Sea and Wasteland. I'm going to fetch for Underground Sea. Okay, so these 2 Wastelands can do some work. I guess it'll just be a matter of if they can stick a threat this turn. Because if they went like land Tarmogoyf with Double Daze backup, they would resolve Tarmogoyf and I'd be in huge trouble. But now it looks like I'm going to be able to waste them unless they find exactly Delver here. Alright, they found a wasteland. Oh, do you want to play a wasteland game with me? Because I'm ready for that. I am tooled up. Alright, no good there. So that ponder did not shuffle. You chose this world. Let's live in it. Yeah, we know volcanic islands over there. Death Shadow. I have a threat now. I need to do some work to get it into play, but I do have it. There's that volcanic island again. When both players are wasting each other, someone is usually wrong, and it's not always obvious who it is until later in the game. Please bolt me on the way out. All right, you got your stifle. Okay, so they did have stifle. Let's see if they want to spend a daze on a Thoughtseize. All right, so lightning bolt, fork bolt, daze. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. They do have another land. That's a bummer. I'm going to take one of the dazes, because getting the shadow into play is going to be the important part of my plan. Alright, what were they hiding? Got a Tarmogoyf over there. Yup. Alright, so I could force this, go to 12, play a 1/1 shadow. No, I think I'll be able to get through this. They want to daze the brainstorm. It's not a huge deal. A fetch land is probably my best draw. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I could just play Gurmag Angler with force backup. And if they bolt and they need double red. Alright, yeah, I'm going for my angler. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This game's gonna get scrappy. So you daze, I force. If they can answer Gurmag and connect with Tarmogoyf, then that makes Death Shadow huge. Don't feel great about losing my brainstorm in a spot like this, but I am ahead on board. And we're basically just both top decking right now. So if they attack, I would go to 8. Alright, no attacks. Cool. So they can bolt. They can block bolt to finish off my angler. I want to give them that opportunity. Nope, they don't want it. Okay. So I can't play Death Shadow because they're just gonna bolt it. But once they connect with Goyf, that's not a thing that they can do anymore. So they're just going upstairs. Alright. There's a reasonable possibility they can burn me out here. But so this puts me to 5, this puts me to 3. So I am in bolt range, like lightning bolt range, if that's what they have. Like I said, this is scrappy. And my Death Shadow is huge. Oh, you got a big fat whale boy. Alright. So I am dead to that if I don't find an out. Alright, yeah, I'm just dead. This can attack, put Lightning Bolt back in the hand, puts me to 2, and I don't have a flying answer. And even if I preordain into Snuff Out, that would put me to 1, and I'm dead to the Fork Bolt. So, yep, dead. That's the danger of reducing your own life total. Alright, so I'm not sure who won that Wasteland exchange, but it wasn't great. Alright, Fatal Push, Liliana's Triumph, all come in. Plague Engineer is a maybe. Like, naming Human turns off Delver, and this trades with Tarmogoyf really well. These are definite no's. Force Negation's bad. I like Days on the play. Force of Will is pretty medium in the matchup. Like, generally you want to play to the board in these and like, there's basically nothing that's worth a 2-for-1. Reanimate could be pretty strong. I do like this playing the Stifle game, but I'm not sure if I'm on the side of the matchup that wants to leave up mana for Stifle. I'll leave some in, because like stifling a Wasteland like we saw last game was a huge deal. Drawn in the Lock, I think, is going to be pretty good. I don't need both Plague Engineers, that's just extra. Yeah, I'm just going to try to be a better creature deck than them. Because they are a better spell deck than me, and I know that. Keep this. I'm going to bottom Brazen Borrower. That's the one that takes the longest to pay off. Alright. Well, this, I can Thoughtseize them now, or I can... I think like what happened last game. I think I want to ponder, make sure I hit my land drops before I start messing around with Thoughtseize and just dying to Wasteland. Like I'm on the play, so I got to play around Stifle already. If they just like cast Ponder, I'm gonna waste them and Thoughtseize them. If they waste me, I'll just Thoughtseize them anyway. If they land Delver, I'll probably still Wasteland Thoughtseize them. So, Brainstorm, Wasteland. I'm gonna play around Days and Thoughtseize them. I'm not gonna do anything straight into this obvious Stifle. There is the obvious Stifle, told you. Alright, Red Blast, good thing I boarded out almost all of my blue cards. And there is a Delver over there. So, can I beat Delver? What's the plan versus Delver? Like, I could take Ponder, and then they don't have any new selection, and they're all in on this Delver plus the bolts. I think I like that better. I boarded in a lot of removal. I can answer a Delver. If they crack their fetch land, or when they crack their fetch land, I probably want to Brainstorm. No, I know the top of my deck is Plague Engineer and 2 unknown cards. Okay, so I might want to Brainstorm just to keep the velocity moving forward. There's Delver. Alright, now it looks like I get to just shove Plague Engineer, because they didn't waste me. Gotta hope they didn't draw Days this turn. Danced around all of their answers. Name Human, Delver's dead. So now I'm glad I took the Ponder, because now they have to use one of these Lightning Bolts to answer my Engineer. This Red Elemental Blast still doesn't have a target. I'll be able to sneak my Brainstorm in somewhere. Okay, so I'm going to attack them. They're probably going to Lightning Bolt. And if they don't, I'm going to Wasteland them in the end of combat. Alright, there's a stop at end of combat on my turn. Alright, so damage has been done. We're in end of combat. Waste you. So this turns off their Red Blast and their Lightning Bolt for my second main phase. Okay, got the Stifle. Did know about that. That's fine. Because guess what? I got another one. Take you off your color. Cast Gurmag Angler. One, two, three, four, five, six. Alright, now they missed their window to Lightning Bolt my Plague Engineer because they were holding up Stifle and Red Blast, and now I have a giant thick board here. Wasting me would be suicide. Let's crunch for 7. Then I'm gonna Brainstorm and probably shuffle away this Gurmag Angler, because I don't think I'm gonna need it. I would like some answers now. Just, or I could go wider with more Death Shadows. I'd be okay with that too. Alright, Gurmag Angler and Bloodstained Mire can go. And I'm gonna fetch up an Underground Sea right now, just before they're holding up Stifle. Brazen Borrower can be on 3/1 duty next turn. Yeah, they're just a... Look at this handful of sweet cards that we just invalidated with our sideboard plan. And a Thoughtseize that gave us the information to make informed decisions. Alright, so being on the draw, do I still want Stifle? Probably not. Like, do I... Basically, I would cut Stifle for the second Plague Engineer. Just being another body that trades is good. Yeah, I think that's better than Stifle. Time to be a creature deck. In we go. This hand's pretty solid. I can have a turn 1 Street Wraith. It'll cycle Reanimate plan with Daze backup. Alright, there's that. So, let's see what we draw. Alright, Drown in the Loch is an answer to Delver, eventually. Cycle. Oh, another Reanimate. That's pretty messed up. I am not going to Wasteland them with this Delver in play. I might have done it if they cast Ponder on turn 1 instead. So I'm gonna fetch for Underground Sea and Thoughtseize them. I kinda hope they Daze Thoughtseize. Uh-oh. Alright, we're probably dead to these double Wastelands now. Stifle, Lightning Bolt, Clothis. I think I want to take Stifle, because I'm going to need to draw another land. Alright, yeah, that was a rough start. If they put anything on the stack, like if they just bolt me before combat, I'll Daze it, but there's no reason to play like that. Yeah, alright. They had double Wasteland. Ruh-roh. So I took the Stifle to give myself the most outs to draw a Mana Source. Didn't get there. So they're probably going to bolt me in response, which puts me to 6. Wow, that's scary. Yeah, I'm on a super fast clock here, and not a whole lot of ways out of this in the deck. Oh, great. I'm actually just dead. There's no outs because they bolt me and attack with Delver again, and my hand is not lined up to do that. Alright. We Delvered the crap out of them in game 2, and then they Delvered the crap out of us in game 3. Yeah, this card, Delver of Secrets, very scary card. Obviously, I mean, this is Legacy. But that is the difference. Like, that's the sort of game that not having Delver in the deck uh, doesn't allow you to play. Like, the Stifles boarded out where Delver would have been pretty great. No. That's just one matchup, but anything that helps against Rug Delver is important in Legacy. Right, obviously a mulligan. Come on now. There are 17 lands in this deck, which is slightly fewer than most even Delver decks, but it uses Street Wraith to mitigate that. What? Oh my god. Maybe I should have kept the 5 with 2 Street Wraiths. Alright, well I'm going to get rid of one of the forces, because I can't afford that many 2-for-1s, and the Preordain. Oh, and one more, because I'm on 4. I guess the Daze. Oh, wait, I'm on 3. Jeez. Oh my god. Alright. That was a lot of mulligans. My goodness. Let's hope they're oops all spells and just dead to this Force of Will. Basic Island, not what I wanted to see here. Right, drawing the second land is good. I'm going to need those eventually. I stacked that wrong. I should have put Drown in the Lock second, so I could cycle into a blue card for Force if I need to. Whoops. Is this Merfolk? Oh my god. It is, in fact, Merfolk. Pretty sure this matchup is unbeatable on 4 cards. So, Street Wraith, fetch. That's 3, 4, 5 damage to myself. Not quite there. They're not going to really put cards in their graveyard. So I'm going to fetch before I Wraith. Alright. Yeah, we're definitely going to get run over here. The good news is it's another deck without Swords to Plowshares. The bad news is they know exactly what we're doing now, and also that we can't beat a Twin Name Nemesis in game 1. Ooh, you're doing that. Well, Standstill Merfolk. Is it 2009? I'm jealous. I love that. Okay, so let's find out if your 6 cards in hand can beat a 3/3. I am in no position to ignore the standstill. I just have to play into it. So if they force, I'm not going to force back. I think Ponder is more important. Force pitching Lord of Atlantis. Another one. They may have days, they may not, but I'm not in a position to play around it. Force pitching Merfolk Trickster. Alright, so they've pitched 2 more threats. They had double force. I also mulled to 3, if you recall. And this game is still, like, kind of close. It may not look like it, but I feel like this is closer than you think. I definitely should have kept that 4-card hand with 2 Street Wraiths, in retrospect. Uh-oh, 3 is the bad number. Yeah, there's that. Okay, can't beat that card. Need the Plague Engineers. Alright, yeah, the main deck is not well suited for this matchup. Force of Negation is terrible. Daze isn't great. Stifle is bad. Like, you can stifle a Vial activation, but that's not really where I want to be. Bring in everything that kills a creature. Liliana the Last Hope has surprisingly few targets in Merfolk. Like, they might have, like, they're going to have Silvergill Adept, and then they'll have some number of Curse Catchers and Benthic Biomancers. But in general, this is not great, though it could team up with Plague Engineer to deal with larger creatures than you might expect. Right, Force of Will, I can play fewer of those. I think in general the counter spells are bad. Because they are a very heavy Cavern deck. So winning a counter war, like if I can daze a Force of Will on a turn they tap out for something, that's a big deal. So I have 2 forces still in the deck. There are enough blue cards to support them. I'm not going to bring in both Lilianas. I'll bring in the one, because I really don't think it's that good unless you also have Plague Engineer. Reanimate might be medium for this matchup, but I don't think that Daze is better. I don't think Liliana's better either. Alright. This is what I'm doing. Just be a creature deck with removal. We're just playing limited here. Just really good draft decks. The standstill is a little scary, but I can try to get out ahead of it. Cycle that right away in case I find Thoughtseize. Alright, let's see what their opening turn looks like. I have so many lands in my hand that I don't think they're gonna have Stifle in their deck, but they might have Wasteland in their deck. Alright, I'm just gonna go to my turn. Fetch, shock, brainstorm, fetch, shock, Death Shadow. That sound like a plan? Sounds good to me. Nice. Alright, so I don't need a third land, and I don't think I'm going to need this Reanimate either with double Death Shadow. Alright, let's go. Death Shadow. And Force of Will also grows Death Shadow. Not that I think I'm going to need a Force of Will. Like, this Shockland will get this bigger than any other creatures for a while. Umezawa's Jitte. Yeah, you need creatures for that to matter. Yeah, that's a very beatable card. Another Shockland. The pedal is to the metal, as they say right now. Nice. Bottom, top, sees you for some more damage. I did give up my blue card for Force of Will. Let's hope it doesn't matter. Alright, so Curse Catcher, Trickster. I think I want to take Curse Catcher and remove their ability to double spell next turn. Yeah, I can deal with them 1-1 or 1-4-1. But if they start double spelling and sneaking their Jitte in, that could be troublesome. And the follow-up. This is what a 7-card hand looks like against Merfolk. I did 5-0 with Merfolk on the channel recently, though. Go back a couple weeks, you can find that. Okay, so they're going to use their Trickster to save some damage. See if I draw a blue card. They should do it in my upkeep, if they're going to do it, though. Yeah, there it is. Trickster gets to tap one of my creatures. Becomes a 13/13 for the turn, though. If I can untap it somehow, I get a big attack, because it loses the ability of being small. The quote-unquote ability. I'm just going to Triumph them. I'll save my Fatal Push, because it's both cheaper and more selective. Like, right now, they just aren't doing anything. And I want to push this 6 damage through. Make them dead next turn. So Trickster's answered. Got another removal spell. A lethal attack lined up. I guess I probably should have kept that Brazen Borrower that I bottomed on the Preordained just as a blue card to go with Force, and just another thing that impacts the board. I think that was a little hasty in that decision. But yeah, that worked out well. Let's do that again. So Umezawa's Jitte, I don't think I bring in Null Rod just because I saw that. I think controlling their creatures will be a better way to fight that card. Brazen Borrower can also bounce it and reset its counters if it really comes to that. Curse Catcher confirmed. We've now seen that card. I don't think that really changes anything. Yeah, same deck, let's go. Daze is a little worse on the draw. Like, I could convert that to another Force or something else. But I still think it's fine. Like, if I can Daze a 2-drop, like if they don't have a 1-drop and then I Daze a 2-drop, I'm still feeling pretty good about that situation. Alright, this can force an Aether Vial, which I'm into. I'm going to keep this. Has a bunch of lands, I'm also into that. You were saying... Yeah, that takes a lot of pressure off what kind of game I need to play. Because I boarded into a 1-for-1 game, and if they're able to like 2-for-1 and jump ahead on mana with Vial, none of that is good for me. Alright, it looks like my plan right now is to like tempo them, like bounce your creature, Liliana. See what they got. Okay, good. I was about to say, if they have Silvergill Adept, that plan gets really embarrassing. Though Silvergill Adept lines up poorly against Liliana. Not gonna shock. We're gonna take this one slow. Ooh. That's interesting. They are going into their True Name Nemesis turn on the curve, so I should probably Thoughtseize them now. Force of Will, Mutavault, and Merfolk Trickster. I'm gonna take Trickster. Like if they end up forcing something, it's gonna be a 2-for-1. It's also something they're not gonna develop the board with. So I think that's probably better. God. Oh my god. Alright. Yeah, that's pretty good. Not a bad draw. So I think the plan is probably gonna be to bounce their master. Oh, nice. That's even better. Breaking Standstill with a Thoughtseize is like a dream come true as far as breaking standstills go. But I mean, it still sucks. So I'm gonna get the Underground Sea. My life total is plenty low already. Do they have a force for me? No, they just have True Name Nemesis, Echoing Truth. Alright, so I'm going to take their True Name. That's a really good reason to have Reanimate still in the deck. Alright, so I'm going to let them commit to animating Mutavault and attacking before I try to bounce the Master. Mutavault. There's also always a chance they misclick and activate the one that they didn't play this turn. That always scares me on Moto. Alright, so let's see if this is worth a force of will to them. I'm pretty fine if it is. But I wouldn't. Personally, yeah, alright. Because they can just replay it. Like, that's not even that good. I think are we still just dead on board? Yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Yeah, we're still dead on board. Oh, they didn't replay it. That is actually surprising to me. Alright, I guess I should get Liliana into play. Like, drawing Days was pretty great. Because if they want to let Lily resolve and then bounce it, they can. Also, if they want to fight over Lily, I just don't even care. Force pitching, echoing truth. Okay. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Those are gone. Oh, we are in a lot of trouble here. The Mutavaults have been really good. That standstill was an insane draw. And we just haven't drawn a single removal spell this whole game. Just like this same game, but with without this master in play would be just a totally different thing. Death Shadow is still a really good draw though, because I can bounce the master in combat and eat one of the Mutavaults and just be at 2 life. So come on, Death Shadow or Gurmag Angler. Give me something. A creature. Alright. That's the money. Okay, let's see what they got. They have 2 cards left in hand. We don't know either of them. Oh, this is Trickster, we lose. Oh, the backup master. Now their things get to keep Island Walk no matter what. Ugh. That was the draw I needed them to not have. So if they pay for Days, then they still have a lethal attack. Yep, unblockable is real good. And I can't Daze up all 3 of my islands, unfortunately. Alright, they learned how to pay for Days. That means I can't win anymore. I guess I could bounce the attacking master and go to 1. Alright, oh, yeah, I'm not dead. It's just real bad. Yeah, so this will go to a 3-3. Oh, right. They don't have to attack with the master. Alright. I'm at 1. I don't think there's anything left that can win me this game. Knowing that they have multiples of that. Yep. We're dead. GG's, Merfolk. That's a tough matchup. Like, if they get under you, like, 16 cards into the deck and we didn't find a removal spell, just that one creature that got to just peck in here and there while we fought around it was just such a big deal. That's what happened there. My kingdom for a fatal push. I'm on the play here with Thoughtseize Snuff Out Death Shadow hand. I'm going to keep it. I really hate one-landers, but that's not something you're going to mulligan in Death Shadow. Like, when you register a 17-land deck, you just got to assume the risks. But that's why I play like 20, 21 lands in most of my decks that I choose to play. Stressful stuff. Opponent's on 6, though. You always love when your opponent mulligans against your Thoughtseize deck. I'm gonna race to the bottom here with my life total. Fetch the Shockland. Hope they don't have Wasteland. Show me. Wasteland confirmed. 2 swords to plowshares and a waste. Jeez. All right. Oh no, one of them's Mother of Runes, which might be even worse than swords to plowshares. Ramming up excavator with the wasteland is unbeatable. I can destroy the creatures. I think I might take the plow. Yeah, I'm gonna take the plow and hope that they develop their board rather than just aggressively waste me. Because like Noble Hierarch and Mother of Runes both incentivize getting on board and getting them active. But the cheese wasteland. Oh good. I think it is generally correct to do what they're doing, but I am heavily, heavily happy they did it that way. Alright, oh got there easy. Alright, so they made the right choice. Alright, snuff you out. Sorry, Mom. Not gonna get another chance. You know how it is. Then I'm gonna fetch, cast Death Shadow, and Preordain because I think my whole hand is good. There's no reason to brainstorm here. I'll wait until I draw something I don't want. Nice. That Stifle could come in handy against the Wasteland, but I think it's going to be too late. Bottom. Top. Yeah, I want to push for damage. That also fuels the Garmag Angler. Alright, now they know why I took the Swords to Plowshares, though I'm sure they knew anyway. They're no fool. You don't register Maverick without understanding what's important in the different matchups. So now they're pretty far behind on board, and now Wasteland is a lot less appealing. Like, the turn 1, just cack off Wasteland. That's like, okay, let's play turn 1 over again, but with an upside of I win if you don't hit your land drop. But now wasting when they're actively behind can be pretty bad. Snuff Out is really good in this matchup, wow. Alright, Force of Will was a great find. Right, I'm gonna attack. I doubt they're gonna block, but I'm not gonna cycle Street Wraith until after they commit to not blocking. Daze gonna be real good here. That also means I don't have to keep the Brainstorm anymore. I guess I can still just sit on it. Yeah, having Force of Will and Daze against a deck where I'm this far ahead, I like this. I don't even care if they Wasteland me at this point. So I will probably force pitching Brainstorm. If they go like land Ramanap, actually, do I even care about that? I think I just attack for 12. They have to block. Though, if they tap their Noble Hierarch to play a creature and I counter the creature, then they're just dead because they don't have a blocker and I have a lethal attack. Maybe I should save the Force of Will for Swords to Plowshares. Just the downside of them maybe drawing Swords to Plowshares is so much worse than basically anything else. Maybe they'll just cast this Ramanap Excavator and I can daze it though. That would be great. Oh, white card. Thalia. So if I force Thalia, then I still have Daze up for whatever's left in their hand. Do I even care about Thalia? I guess I can Daze picking up my tapped Watery Grave, and that'll grow Death Shadow. And if they pay for this with Noble Hierarch, that will restrict what options they have. Alright, yeah, I got the scooper. Nice. All right, I was really scared off that Thoughtseize, and it came down to, so like if they waste me and I miss my land drop, I lose the game. But they decided to develop instead of doing that, which probably right, but also ended up punishing them. All right, time to become the mono black control deck. With options on Brazen Borrower. The 3-1 body attacking does matter against Maverick. They don't have a whole lot of defense against flying, and bringing in more threats that don't just get obliterated by Swords to Plowshares is pretty nice. I do think Stifle is probably really bad in this matchup. There are certain spots where like maybe you stifle a Knight activation and you get to do a victory lap, but I don't think we're going to be in one of those spots. Days on the draw is a whole lot worse. Force of Will and fair matchups I just don't love. But alright, so I have some dazes, some drowns, 3 forces. I actually think I like force against Maverick more than the average fair matchup, because they're not going to do a lot of stuff that I can't answer cleanly, but the things that I do need to counter, like choke or like a clutch Swords to Plowshares, for example, or just buying time. Like if I can force my way up to a Liliana that starts eating their board, that's real good. I don't think I want the Brazen Borrowers. Maybe over one of the reanimates, actually. Actually, when I'm bringing in Plague Engineer, Liliana, and Brazen Borrowers, I don't need the reanimates at all. Yeah, I like that. They don't have any swamps in their deck, so like the aggro cheese of Cycle Street Wraith reanimated on turn 1 just doesn't matter. Alright, this is not a keep. Poor little wasteland. Does not cast my spells. I think I would keep this if this was a mana source with the Ponder. So I think that's worth doing. Though this hand is, it's close. This is a phenomenal hand. I'm going to keep and ship probably Thoughtseize. Yeah, there's a limit to how many Thoughtseizes you can really get away with that matter here. Like playing to the board. I can curve the Fatal Push up into a Triumph. Alright, Triumph just got a whole lot worse. Fatal Push, great draw. I'm just gonna hold up Fatal Push. Yeah, I'm not gonna like Thoughtseize my way into a wasteland that blows me out. If they cast Choke right now, I'm gonna wish I Thoughtseized, but just any random creature I can mostly answer cleanly. I mean, Thalia will mess things up because you can't like Fatal Push her with 1 land. Other runes is fine though. Oh, did you miss your land drop over there? Unfortunate. Alright, so I'm gonna Fatal Push the Mother. I plan on killing both of these creatures. And you missed your land drop with a bird? I'm wasting. We're getting wasted. It's pass priority. I don't know what they're gonna do with that white mana, but I don't want them to do it. Alright, no permanents, go. Neither of us have. Well, I am heavily favored in the 1 land versus no permanents. They could have been slow rolling a wasteland, but I think they would have still just put it into play. Like, slow rolling your land drop doesn't make any sense. Alright, preordain. Let's find a fetch land and cast Garmag Angler. Bottom, top. Okay, so I can Gurmag next turn, and I'm a black source away from Liliana. Oh yeah, Pass the turn. Feed me your pain. All right, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I paid the extra because I'm not going to use that colorless for anything, and I do have more Gurmag Anglers in the deck, so just having that card around could be helpful. And I ate all the creatures with Gurmag because they do play Scavenging Ooze, which is a card I don't want to get bigger. Oh, that's why they kept that hand. All right, what else you got over there? Never thought sees a 7-card hand on turn 5. Okay, so Swords to Plowshare is very good. Hierarch Zenith, Zenith Decay. I'm going to take the Plow. Because Decay doesn't answer Gurmag Angler. The rest of this stuff, like if they draw a land and a Zenith for something, I can waste a Dryad Arbor or the land they use to cast the Arbor. If I can get this Liliana down. Yeah, Liliana is gonna answer any Dryad Arbor or Noble Hierarch shenanigans. I suspect they'll concede to this Lily. Underground Sea, Liliana, the last hope. Liliana, the nail in the coffin. Not conceding to this is some serious grit. I respect it. It's an absolute non-game. Sure. I could even just do that. I'm not going to, though. I'm going to hold up Drown in the Loch, and that should lock up the game. They're at 5. I have a 5/5. Plenty of cards in the graveyard to get drowned. There's 2 cards in their hand I don't know about. Yeah, doesn't matter. They're dead. All right, so we have both Delvered people and gotten Delvered by people in this league so far. Just the you have no permanent skill you somehow. So we've seen it go both ways. All right, I am on the play with a Thoughtseize Reanimate hand. Keep it. Do I do that, or do I play to the Stifle for the first time in the entire league? I also have a Stifle Daze hand. I could Stifle this turn and then Thoughtseize Reanimate next turn with Daze backup while they have no permanents. I'm going to try that. I think Thoughtseizing is better, honestly, but the Stifles are in this deck and we haven't gotten to use them yet. I have regrets. Shit. Definitely should have Thoughtseized. Alright, so let's hope to whatever deity you believe in, they don't have Simian Spirit Guide. They do. Yep, should have Thoughtseized. Got cute. Deserve this. Alright, so Gurmag Angler can still win this game. Force of Will is probably my best draw. Right, Bloodstained Mire. I think I should cast Thoughtseize to fuel the Gurmag. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, not quite there. If I draw a fetch land, I can Gurmag next turn. But if they Blood Moon here, we just lose. Deck can't beat a Blood Moon. I don't have any red cards, don't have any basic lands. You have to get out ahead of the Blood Moon. Remember that time I didn't cast Thoughtseize because I wanted to get cute with Stifle? I'm really trying to give Stifle a fair shake. I am suspicious of the card in this slot over Delver in this deck. Like, if this was Delver, like, imagine having Delver in play right now instead of nothing. All right, yeah, we're dead. Okay. So, good to know. Brazen Borrower comes in here. Plague Engineer comes in because these decks tend to win with Goblin Rabblemaster and the Mentor, whatever version that card is called. The other Goblin Rabblemaster. Daze is fine on the play. I think Reanimate will probably be bad. Drown in the Lock, they don't actually put that many cards in their graveyard over the course of a game, but having a hard counter against them is insane if you can get there. Oh, Stifle. I should board that out because it has no text. Yep. Soft to Chalice and just generally not good in the matchup. That's an easy board out. Surgical Liliana. I don't think those cards matter. Null Rod has some text in the matchup. Like, they have some draws with Chrome Mox, but generally speaking, I don't think that that's where we're going to be. Thoughtseize is very good. Maybe I can keep one Reanimate. Just have more cards I want to take out than I want to bring in. Could bring in the pushes to show more respect for their goblins. Yeah, I think that makes sense. Is Leona's Triumph better? Because this gets around Chalice, but you do have to have it right on time. Like Fatal Push, they can resolve a goblin, attack for 1 once, then you can Fatal Push. But the Triumph you need to have right away. I think Daze is a little bit sketch. I mean, it's good, but the Spirit Guide is tough. I'm going to go a little lower on Daze. Alright, this is my plan. You definitely want every Force and anything that can bounce a Chalice of the Void. Come on now. This is not where we need to be. This matchup is tough. Alright, I guess I'm keeping this. Bottom and Gurmag's really important. Second Wasteland, or the first Wasteland. Yeah, I need a threat, and I want my answers. Alright, I'm gonna gamble that I find a land before I find another threat. Alright, found a land. I'm leaving up Brainstorm in case we need to dig for an answer to a Blood Moon. So I'll Brainstorm in response to a Chalice of the Void. Just trying to find the second land, because that will parlay me into Brazen Borrower, hold up next turn. Tectonic Giant, my goodness. I am going to get Watery Grave because I'm holding the Shadow. On land. Oh god, we're fucked. Well, Deadly Mulligans. I played to a situation where we would draw another land and it just didn't happen. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Alright, do we lose to Blood Moon or do they have some goblins here? Trinisphere. Alright, we're not quite dead to that one. It does suck, but could run our lands. Easy game. Alright, if they had Blood Moon, I think they would have led on that. But I guess they could curve Trinisphere to make sure their Blood Moon resolves on the following turn, so maybe not. Shit. Alright, we're dead. Okay, I tried to give Stifle a chance and lost for it. I think there's a reasonable chance we win that round 5 if we just Thoughtseize, because then we at least know what we're playing against. We know that they have Spirit Guide. We know that Daze isn't going to work. Like, there's just a lot of information. We can strip the Chalice, which might force them to go for turn 1 Blood Moon that we could Daze. So, yeah. I don't like the Stifle. I don't think it was good. This is not a deck that wants to hold up mana for Stifle. Like, the whole point of Death Shadow, especially if you're not playing Delver, is to Thoughtseize their answers away, like shred them with discard, and then land a fatty on the back end. Like, this is mostly a black deck with blue cantrips in it. You can't like pivot around and pretend you're a blue control deck with cards like Stifle. So that's my official opinion on that one. The Shadow archetype overall, I do like it though. If you don't have a lot of Swords to Plowshares in your meta, and like I said at the beginning of the league, the Magic Online leagues generally don't have a lot of Swords to Plowshares in them. You play a lot of combo and Delver and Stompy decks, just because that just by the nature of leagues, like a lot of people just want to play their 5 rounds and queue up into another league, and the Swords to Plowshare decks tend to go pretty long, and if you can get leagues in 90 minutes instead of 3 hours, that's a good place to be if you're a grinder. So we played against one Swords to Plowshare deck, beat it pretty easily with some Thoughtseizes, and lost to some prison decks. I did like the sideboard. I did feel like that sideboarded pretty well, like it lined up pretty well, and the cards were all relevant. They all had play to them. I really don't like the Stifle and think that they should be Delvers. That's my final answer. Thanks for watching, everybody. Troy, thanks for the deck, and make sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you all next time.